Hey folks, welcome to the Take10 show, where I, Nathan, your host, me, uh, tries to take 10 minutes out of my day to actually produce some artwork or to work on something for myself. Um, as unusual as it is, this is not the absolute first time I've had a chance to draw something today. I did a little sketching on the train, and I just sketched in blue line pencil this minotaur on this card here. Sure you can make that out too well, but sort of just a cartoony minotaur. What I'm going to do is ink that tonight. And I'm kind of buzzed about this because I'm trying out this new pencil I got. It's a Prisacolor Col-erase blue. It's not a non-photo blue, but that doesn't really matter. It's a colored pencil like any other one, but the pigment, the binder in the pigment is so hard that it's actually erasable. So you can do line or whatever, and then using just a regular pink eraser, which they don't seem to have in Australia, you can erase it. So it's really cool for doing underdrawings for ink. I really love the look of blue pencil lines under ink because I just like the contrast. I like the inks to look like a richer, darker black, and I think the light blue does that. You may notice that it's sort of almost engraved in the card. It's because I've got it sharpened to a really sharp point, and this thing is hard. Much harder than I thought it would be. And I've never actually used one of these before, so I did carve a few lines into the paper, but we'll see if the ink can cover that up too. But anyway, since it's inked already, I'm just going to jump right into it. Since it's drawn already, I'm going to jump right into inking. I'm going to start my time now for the 10 minutes because I've been yammering on and not actually doing anything. What I'm using here is just a brush pen. I forget who makes this one. I got it from jetpens.com. It's from Japan. It's just got a bamboo body and a standard brush pen tip and nylon bristles. So it's nothing super special. It's just kind of neat looking. And I'm using, the ink is from the pocket brush pen, so it's a really good waterproof black ink. And this is just a piece of card that I got from work. They're using it to separate little notebooks. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to start inking a little bit. So I was trying to think about what to talk about today, and I did not have a lot that was on my mind. I've been asked to take place in an exhibition coming up soon in Sydney by some other people. It's just sort of an artist exhibition. We're just paying for it ourselves and everything. So nothing groundbreaking as far as getting into the art business, but it will be the first time I've shown my work publicly in Sydney in this way, so that's kind of cool. And if I get some exposure, then that's good. It's so funny, people say don't work for free, exposure's not worth it and all that. And that's totally true. I believe that very much. However, in this case, exposure is worth it because we're actually paying for the show ourselves. So exposure is kind of the goal. It's funny. But yeah, if that works out pretty well, it'd be nice just to see everyone's art, quite frankly. A lot of these guys are from the guild, but some of them aren't, and they're just local artist types. I'd just like to meet some people who are out there working on it, who are doing it. It's always good to see other artists work. And I think the organizer is a friend of mine from the guild. And I'm pretty sure the gist of the thing is to encourage people who normally wouldn't show to show some stuff. There's like no set theme. It was supposed to be like comic art kind of thing, but that's kind of vague, obviously. So the stuff I'm going to be showing is not very comic art. I'm going to be doing some paintings. I'll show some paintings, some ink drawings. Whatever we've got room for in the show, really. This brush is still so free-flowing, it's hard to deal with sometimes. Have to be very careful. I've been trying to be more deliberate with my art lately, especially for inking and stuff like this. I used to just kind of go at it willy-nilly, and I've gotten really good at correcting problems and doing things on the fly. But I'd rather be good at not messing up in the first place. So I'm trying to focus a bit more on that kind of thing. Just technique. Coordination, proportion, you know, I don't want to say correct, but more correct drawing. In that aspect, things that are easier to tell what it is I'm drawing from the way I'm drawing it. I don't want people to look at it and go, but what is that? That hurts. I mean, I'm a big boy. I can take that, of course. It's not a big deal. But it sucks when you try really hard to get something to look like something, and the person looking at it doesn't get it. Because that's a glaring error on your part. The two ways about it. As cool as conceptual art can be, and as much as I'd love to just complain that people don't get it, you know when you've messed up. You kind of feel it when people don't get what you're doing, and it's when it's your fault, I mean. Not they don't get it because they're not hip enough, they don't get it because you didn't do it well enough. I know that feeling, unfortunately. Trying to work my way out of not having it quite so often. I'm trying to keep this in frame here, guys. Sorry I keep pausing. I'm looking over at the screen of the camera. I have to zoom in tight so you can actually see what I'm doing, but that means I can't move the paper around very much, and I need to move it around some to do this inking. If you want to see some really good videos on inking, I suggest Kevin Cross has got a new one out last month or so. Really good. Mentioned him last time. Will Terrell does some really sweet ink drawings. Mentioned him before too. Gerimi Burleigh, who I think I'm going to do for today's Artist of Inspiration, has usually does a speed drawing of he's inking his comic book. It's really cool, and his technique is very good. He uses a tiny brush. A lot of big names seem to use the tiny brush. Just like a 000 or something, or a 1. And just ink. I'm still not quite into that. I don't like having a dip, so I stick with the brush pen. And obviously my technique needs some work anyway, but yeah, he's really cool to watch, and he does a lot of nice commentary on what he's thinking about when he does the work. So you can kind of get a feel for how he came to that decision. Sort of thing I was hoping to do with this. But he does better. Not that I'm judging myself against someone else, because you're not supposed to do that. I just have to be better than I was before. Or in my case, I just have to be good enough that people want to pay me to do this. Any people. I don't mean to sound desperate about jobs or whatever. I'd love to work on art for a living, but I've heard tell from some of the other artists that have day jobs that are also art. Like, let's see, Jonathan Rector, mentioned him before. Really good comic guy. He works at a video game company now. And before, when he was doing art for himself, he seemed to have a lot more energy to do it. And now he said he spends a lot of time, he works, 10-hour days drawing stuff. So when you get home, how do you have the energy to go do some more drawing? Because, you can't work on your stuff at work. I mean, he does lunchtime sketches and whatnot, but your own projects still need to keep going. So maybe it's better to not have an art job in some cases so that you can keep the energy to work on your projects. That begs the question, have I been actually working on my projects? Because I definitely don't have an art job. The answer to that question is kinda. Not as much as I want to, of course, but a little bit. Just because I'm not drawing very much doesn't mean I'm not working on some of the art projects I've got going. I'm doing scripting for some comics, and I'm organizing some layout stuff for something that happens after the comics. Big secret project. If you've followed me at all for any length of time, you probably already know what it is. But, yeah, so I've been trying to work on it. Varying levels of success. I run into trouble with these inks when I try to put in some weight. I always end up making it look, I either muddy up everything I'm trying to draw, or I put a shadow where it's not supposed to be. I'll tell you right now, I'm probably not going to get this finished inking in 10 minutes. Because I really don't want to rush it and ruin it. But, as I've said before, this video series is not about me generating a drawing in 10 minutes. It's about me actually working for 10 minutes. And being beholden to an audience to make sure that I do it. Because I'm recording this. And someone's probably going to watch it. At the very least, it's possible that they could. It's out there, so I owe it to this theoretical viewer to try to do something semi-useful or entertaining or something. So I hope they like monsters. That's all I've got to say. That's pretty much what I do. Speaking of that, I'm kicking around an idea for a whole new themed website. Not just a portfolio site for myself, necessarily, but like a themed portfolio site. Kind of like a property, I guess you'd say. People do world building and they have their own properties. And they require websites, obviously. And not that I have a property really in mind, but I have an interesting idea for some themed art. Like a series of paintings. Just a general collection that I'd like to do. And I wanted it to be sort of housed under one name. But I've got the domain, and I'm ready to go with some of it. It's just a matter of scheduling, as always. Alright, I think technically that's my 10, but I'm going to give it another 2 or 3 minutes. I hope you guys don't mind. I just wanted to get some of this down. I need to make some corrections on this club. I wanted to do the corrections before I forgot what I wanted to do, so when I come back to this tomorrow or whenever, I won't be trying to figure out what I was thinking. I do apologize again if I clam up. I think I mentioned that before. Sometimes when I'm concentrating on a drawing, I get really quiet. Not much fun for viewers, I'm sure. But I have to do it in order to keep track of what I'm doing, such as it is. This is the kind of thing that I like to do, and I guess I'm better at. Textures. See, I'm putting the little shadows on the club to make it look like wood, theoretically. That's sort of that's my bread and butter. That's the thing I feel like I'm best at as far as art goes. The problem is, you can't just do textures. You have to have something to put texture on, and that something needs to be well rendered itself, laid out well. Composition has to be good. Otherwise, it's just like a pretty vase with no flower. You can't. I mean, you can only put so much sugar topping or coating or whatever, magic shell. You can only put so much magic shell on your ice cream before you realize you've got no ice cream. So it's very important to me to try to learn or practice more of the basics, so that I can sell them with this texturing that I'm pretty good at, I guess. That's what I like to do, anyway. I think it shows that I like to do it. I probably should have decided whether this was going to be stylized or not when I first started. Anyway, that's my time for tonight. For now. I'm going to get back into this one later, I'm sure. May or may not record that, but anyway, there it is in side view. I'll try to hold it up to the camera so you can see it. If I tilt it too much, there's no light. There he is. Hideous. Anyway, thanks guys. I will see you tomorrow. Keep making stuff.